This video is made using AI-generated voices and meant to be parody and entertainment only, and is no way meant to politicize or shame any persons, living, real, or otherwise.
YMCA. I say YMCA.
What in the tour guide are you singing about Donnie?
Donnie's just rubbing it in everyone's face that he's the president again.
Really, Donnie? It's been like 3 months already.
What, you saying that the President of the United States can't gloat just a teensy amount?
Donnie, I wouldn't exactly call 3+ months of gloating teensy.
Although the fact that this is the first time he's mentioning it on the channel is a testament to how many videos our homie Kenyaki likes to have stockpiled so he doesn't have to no-life it and literally get Tenpai Dragon trying to get these out.
Oh yeah, where is he anyways?
Oh, hey, Kenyaki, is your refrigerator running?
Guess that was a yes.
Yeah, unlike Yugioh, who needs a babysitter just to plug in the toaster.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Just because you won the election?
Well, I didn't just win the election, Joe. It was a complete blowout. Not even your private army of pocket media, attempted felonies, or 2 separate Gagaga gunmen to the face could stop my juggernaut Libe. I am the Yami Yugi of real life. I am literally the protagonist.
Well, that was an insane amount of plot armor for a single annoying orange.
Not to mention Joe's wife also voted for Trump.
Even your wife knows who the better president is.
Hey, take that back. Okay, to be perfectly honest, I voted for you too.
Wait, seriously?
Well, yeah, getting kicked out of candidacy by your own party kind of has that effect on you.
For the purposes of this video using AI voices, we have to stress that this is all speculation and is not at all confirmed.
Well, you know what, Joe, since I'm so nice, I'll give you a half-off discount on one of my MAGA hats. How about that, Joe?
Oh, you don't have to do that, Donatello. I've already got mine.
Wait, seriously?
Okay, that actually is confirmed.
Well, I've been told by the campaign staff that I shouldn't have released those, but dang a bit, there was a 2-for-1 sale going on, where I got a free ice cream if I bought 2 of them.
And that second part is made up.
Well, okay, but let's get back to the real protagonist and not this stupid IRL stuff.
Got something in mind, Bushy Boy?
Oh yeah, since we've got a couple of our lovely viewers asking for that in the Rival Monsters video, I say let's Shining Sarcophagus all up in this junk synchron.
Like what in the what?
He means we're ranking protagonist Aces Joe.
Well, why didn't he just say so? All right, we started with the OG.
All of the totally baby.
Okay, then let's see.
OG's the key, and that's my guarantee.
And me's the plea tree that agrees with your knee. Wait, what were we talking about again?
We're ranking Dark Magician Joe, the OG protag boss monster.
Oh man, I love Dark Magician. It's got to be my favorite boss monster. Well, behind Shark Drake Levi's.
Yeah, me too. The part about Dark Magician, that is, DM's got to be one of, if not the most iconic monster in all of Yugioh.
Though it might be beat by Blue Eyes.
But gameplay-wise, it's kind of hard to judge it by itself since it's just a vanilla. And really, if you're judging DM, you've got to judge its other spell traps that Konami wants you to run with it.
Yeah, especially since if you judge it by itself, the 3000 attack Blue Eyes is just objectively better.
Although I really love what Konami did with the Shining Sarcophagus archetype, making cool retrains of bad anime monsters is always a win in my book.
Enough to win spending materials on crafting it in Master Duel?
In this stingy UR economy? Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, like, come on, Co-Money, why does Melodious of all things cost an arm and a leg?
Back to Dark Magician, though. I really like how a 2500 vanilla beat stick is still the cornerstone of any Dark Magician strategy, as well as all the support it's gotten over the years. But I think we should mirror the rating we gave Blue Eyes in the rival tier list in that it's super iconic, but it's still the default option, and there's more interesting choices deserving of King of Games. Still tier 1, though.
Sorry, George, looks like you're outvoted.
All right, fine. I guess I can settle for tier 1. Wait, does Yugi's Gandora count as a protag monster?
What, you telling me you want to rank Gandora just so we can put it in literally unplayable tier?
Ouch, but you ain't wrong.
But give us the looky-loo down below in the comments if you want us to rank secondary character ace monsters like Flame Swordsman or Blackwing Dragon or any other tier list that comes to mind.
And thanks for all your support on these, as well as the President's Duel main series. You guys are absolutely killing it.
But up next is Mr. Yuki Judai, a.k.a. the slacker himself, Jaden Yuki.
This another multi-ace monster series?
I mean, it'd be a crime not to.
All yours, Donnie.
My favorite card, Elemental Hero Pa, Flame Wingman.
Magic card Yugioh 発動 My favorite card Elemental Hero Flame Wingman Field 魔法 Skyscraper Oblivion.
Wait, I thought you couldn't get Play HT's multilingual function working?
Well, it seems to be relatively fine with short, simple phrases, but it's still pretty unstable and can't be used for longer summoning chants.
Hold on, I wanted to try something. Lightning Udira Acceleration Bugman. Yep, still pretty unstable.
Oof, still don't beat 11 Labs in multilingual.
Anyways, out of all the cool protag ace monsters, Flame Wingman's got to be one of the coolest.
It's like, dude, it's got a bunch more detail going way beyond what's considered a normal Japanese Super Sentai or masked wrestler. and yet it's not to the amount where it's over-designed.
Honestly, its kaiju art design philosophy kind of reminds me of D-Hero Plasmas, but Flame Wingman does it to a better degree. In that, it's just the right amount of kaiju and doesn't go overboard.
Although it's not the best hero, not by a mile, requiring 2 very specific vanillas for fusion. And at a measly 2100 attack, this thing ain't gonna be winning any powerhouse awards.
Its effect's pretty cool, though. It punishes your opponent for having weak monsters or face downs, and it rewards aggressive play.
Not to mention the field spell Skyscraper solves its attack problems on your turn, though it's basically a sitting duck once you pass it over.
Well, all right then. How about its Rush Duel counterpart?
Holy glow-up bulb Green Lantern. This Wingman's got a facelift.
Like serve me tootin' and hootin' with a pajama slam a slice of Aunt May strawberry and apple pie. Could just be the over-Rush Rare talking, but this one's really hopping.
And not to mention poppin'.
It ain't stopping or flopping.
But how's it in Rush? It rockin' or knockin'?
Well, its effect ain't changed from its Master Duel version, but with the fact that monsters in Rush Duel have less attack points as a whole, Wingman's a whole lot better.
Plus, if we're talking about dual links, it's got a broken skill that lets you lower your opponent's attack, as well as continuously add and recycle fusion from your deck or grave. And the Rush exclusive Rising Hero Argent makes finding your Burstinatrix and Avians a whole lot more consistent too. Though in terms of dual links usability, it really needs Neos or Skyscraper to actually be relevant, and kind of gets bodied by Materian or Shureistar.
At least as of the recording of this video.
But is it really fair to rank Flame Wingman's Rush counterpart but not include Dark Magicians?
Well, in my defense, I like Flame Wingman better than Dark Magician.
Favoritism OP.
Well, I say we put it in tier 1 above Dark Magician for its coolness factor, but its usability holds it back. But at least its retrain's got a cool place in the deck, and it's used as fusion material for Shining Neo's Wingman.
All right, then up next is the Lemon Cake E-Hero Neos himself.
Finally, a useful E-hero.
Yeah, as much as I like Wingman, Neos is actually probably the first usable hero in that it didn't require clunky materials.
Wait, was Vanilla Sparkman usable?
Like, dude, I have no idea.
Back to Neos, he's kind of along the same lines as Dark Magician, in that he's a plain 2500 attack vanilla, though he came out later than DM, so he has the benefit of having a more detailed art design.
Like Ultraman to the max. You gotta love the space opera theme, though this might be a controversial take.
Yeah, like that's new coming from Mr. Maga.
Shut it, Barry. But I actually like Neos slightly less than Wingman.
Really? I thought you really dug space-themed cards.
Yeah, I can't really explain it either. Guess I'm just a sucker for colorful costume crusaders.
Neo's fusions are really colorful, though.
Yeah, but like how often are you actually summoning them?
Oof, that's a contact out.
I think it should go in tier 1 right below Wingman. It's more usable, but its coolness factor ain't quite as high as Mr. Skyscraper Shoot, and that ain't Wrath of Neos.
Attack names are funny.
By the way, here's what Rush Duel Dark Magician and Neos looks like if you're interested.
And here's an ancient gear golem for good measure.
All right, with GX out of the way, next is everyone's favorite junk warrior with 5 Ds.
Riding with Yugioh acceleration. Man,
Yeah, sorry, Joe, that ain't happening.
sad face.
来たかチューナーモンスタージャンクシンクロンを召喚スピードウォーリアーにジャンクシンクロンをチューニング集いし星が新たな力を呼び起こす光さす道となれシンクロ召喚イデオジャンクウォーリアージャンクウォーリアーブラックフィスト
If there was any ace monster that I would like more support for, it's got to be Junk Warrior.
Like, come on, man, Konami. Get your Baguskas out of the Cloudians and give the people what they want.
A giggity.
And it's got a super Yusei-like effect, boosting its attack if you've got level 2 or lower monsters. But really, you're basically only playing this guy for its coolness factor, since you might as well summon Junk Speeder at that point.
Yeah, I'd say that, although its summoning requirements are way easier than Wingman's, only requiring Junk Synchron, its effects are even less relevant than Flamey Boy's, since it requires more level 2s, and by then you might as well just Synchro or Link Climb for way better monsters.
Ooh, but it's alt art though.
That is straight up the best alt art of any Protag ace I've ever seen. Made even better by the fact that it's basically just a one-for-one copy of the pose he does in the anime.
Ooh, now that's cool.
Yeah, but that just makes it sucking hurt all the more.
Since we have to give it a low score, I'm guessing?
You hit the nail on the cool monster design coffin. Like, Junk Warrior's got a ridiculous amount of riz, but it's arguably the least useful monster we've covered so far. So as much as it pains me, I think we've got to put this one in Rogue.
I'm sorry, Junk Warrior. You don't deserve this, but the tier list has got to tier list.
And now, on to one of the Ds itself, Stardust Dragon.
Actually useful.
Yeah, like if Neos was on the edge of borderline useful, Stardust like 10 times that.
Granted, there's better options, but its effect is so useful it occasionally still sees modern play.
And not just for Synchro climbing either. like as an actual boss monster.
For synchro climbing, I'd use Excel Synchro Stardust instead.
It's once again at the 2500 Premier Pro Tag Attack stat with a super useful generic protection effect. It's a great starter monster if you can make level 8s and don't know what else to put in your extra deck.
And come on, like how many other Protag Ace monsters have the wind attribute? Like Zilch.
Though personally, I don't think its card art's all that great.
That's fake news, Bush. Stardust is amazing.
Actually, I kind of agree with George on this one. Like, yeah, it's an amazing boss monster and super important to the anime, but the artwork itself is kind of over-designed. Like it's still got leftover Konami Orb syndrome, and the cluttered background art being really bright in both the OG and alt art cards makes it kind of hard to see.
Still, the fact that it's the most useful ace we've got so far still puts it into a low tier 1, ahead of Dark Magician.
Dang. At this rate, our Tier 1's looking bigger than a Texas Truckroid on a Snake Eyes FA Hippo Carnival rally.
I don't even know what that is, and I agree wholeheartedly.
Still, the show must go on.
And by show, we mean Kato Bingo.
Well, of course, there's Utopia. But does Yuma have any other aces?
I wouldn't say he has a singular ace outside of Utopia, but it's more like he used a whole assortment of boss monsters from his extra deck, with none of them really hogging the spotlight.
I guess we can always just rank regular Gagaga Magician as a stand-in for all of his other Gagagas.
Ain't that kind of cheating, Barry?
What, you want to explain to the viewers why we only have tier 1s in this tier list?
So, like I was saying, Gagaga Magician's got a pretty cool design. What with his more edgy version of the original Dark Magician?
Yeah, either Yuma's a fan of Kakashi, or someone at Konami really likes Naruto.
His effect ain't really something to write home about, though. Sure, he's got level modulation, but without a way to special summon himself. And at a measly 1500 attack, he ain't sticking around on the field long enough to go into an XZs. Sure, there's other Gagagas in the archetype, but at that point, why even bother?
The extra deck Gagas aren't really all that either. The only one of actual use is Cowboy, but literally only because of how useful generic burn effects are in tournament settings where the timer plays a bigger hand.
I'm a fan of Cowboy's rough and tough sling card art, but Gaga's as a whole don't really have a single unified design. I say we put this one in third-rate Duelist in that its usefulness in a non-tournament setting is only slightly better than Junk Warriors, but its design is nowhere near as cool.
Next up is Yuma's actual ace monster, number 39, Utopia.
エクストラデッキを見ろ。なんだこのモンスターエクシーズ。ナンバーズ39。希望をホープ。カットビングだ俺。2体のモンスターでオーバーレイネットワークを構築。エクシーズ召喚。現れろ。ナンバーズ39。希望をホープ。行け希望をホープホープ剣スラッシ
ュOoh, I love this card. Utopia's got to be my favorite ace monster on this entire list.
Even better than Dark Magician Girl?
Considering that none of you Sakitamas bothered to include her in this video, yes.
Don't worry, Joe. She had her spotlight in the way for Tierlist. Anyways, yeah, Utopia is one of the more unique-looking ace monsters from the entire series. Its white and gold color scheme, that armored warrior look, not to mention those sets of wings it uses like a shield.
It's real easy to use, too. Rank 4 has got to be the easiest rank to go into, plus its battle negation effect was pretty good considering the pool of rank 4s at the time.
Kind of off topic, but I'm a big fan of its name. The thank you number 39, Sankyu. When putting the 3 and 9 together, plus the other part of its name, Kibo Hope. Love this guy.
Not to mention he's still used to rank up into his other forms, as well as a surprise Utopia double target.
But it's just I'm having a hard time putting it into tier 1. Maybe it's caused that tier so tight on space already, but I'm not getting tier 1 vibes from it.
True dat, we can't give all our picks tier 1. I mean, like, what are we? IGN?
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. We do not use that name on this channel.
I'm sorry, Barry. I'll behave, I promise. Please don't take my ice cream privileges away.
Well, all right, Joe, but as long as you know that we all love you and want you to stay in school.
Okay, this bit's getting kind of weird.
Yeah, let's just put Utopia at a high rogue and move on.
Why, oh why won't anyone tell me the effect of Pot of Greed? Top decking is like a box of chocolates, filled with nothing but regrets, crushed dreams, and diabetes.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You know that ain't very inclusive of you, Donnie.
Oh, sorry, Type A and Type B.
That's better.
My God, I hate modern gaming.
Next is Arc 5's Yugioh. And he's another tricky one.
Yeah, I mean, we've got good old Odd Eyes, but Yui also used a bunch of different borrowed monsters throughout the whole anime. In fact, with how much he goes into his extra deck, you could probably argue that Odd Eyes isn't even his ace anymore.
Well, I guess we could say that him and Yugioh are technically the same person, so we could also say that Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon's part of his deck too.
We could, but I think we should save that for if we ever want to do a side character ace tier list.
So let us know, dear viewers, if that's something you're interested in, or if you have any other cool tier list ideas.
Then it's off to ranking Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon.
Odd Eyes is,
Odd? Odd Eyes is odd?
Yeah, sure. Anyways, I could never figure out the point of Odd Eyes. It has such a random assortment of effects that don't really play into the Pendulum Magician strategy.
Kinda, yeah, its effect to deal double battle damage doesn't really contribute to anything. Like, sure, if you attack into a little baby monster, you can get some more licks in, but if we're having a boss v boss clash, then it'll do like, what, 600 damage?
Either that or not be able to attack over it at all.
Its pendulum effect ain't it either. Making it so that you take 0 damage when your pendulum monster battles is so bad it might as well not even exist. And being able to pop Odd Eyes to add a pendulum from your deck during your end phase is good on paper, until you realize you can't even pendulum summon since its scales are so bad that even the vanilla retrain is miles better than it. Really all it's used for is, actually I don't even think anyone even uses it since there's infinitely better options. It is definitely the Professor Poopy Pants of ace monsters.
Then I guess all it has left going for it is the card art, and it's,
If you look up the word Konami Orb in the dictionary, it'd be a picture of Odd Eyes.
That and a picture of starving Venom, but I think Venom pulls it off better.
Yeah, as much as I love the Pen Magician playstyle, Odd Eyes is probably on the lower levels of ace monster designs. Sorry, Yuya, but I've got to give your ace 4th-rate deck.
next is Vrains, which I think we'll like a lot better.
It could just be the necessity of needing a link with Master Rule 4. But Playmaker's Decode Talker's got to be one of the best designed protag aces in both card art and game mechanics.
We've gone back into Konami Orb territory, but unlike the other ones on this list, the purple beach balls on this digital construct actually make sense. And Decode Talker pulls it off so well that you don't even notice them until it's pointed out to you.
A very generic Link 3, only requiring 2 plus effect monsters as material, means that this one's arguably even easier to summon than Utopia. That, paired with the great but fair Link arrows, means that it's easy to use, easy to Link climb with, and is a great teacher for teaching people how to Link summon.
Its negate effect is pretty decent too. It's generic and good enough for early Vrains or Yugioh, but requiring to tribute monsters Mr. Talker points to means that it isn't broken enough to break the game, especially when that monster is usually going to be another Link, since Master Rule 4 made extra deck summoning way harder.
Though it was pretty quickly power crept, seeing as Konami released a bunch of specific links for their older archetypes once they realized that a lot of their fan-favorite decks literally won't work without them.
Well, in my book, anything that helped get us Speedroid rubber band shooters a win for me.
Except it also gave a super heavy Samurai Scarecrow.
Touche. Anyways, I think we should put this one in a high rogue, considering its usefulness in early Vrains, but quickly got phased out with better options, even in its own archetype.
Next is Firewall Dragon, and oh man, this one really goes one of two ways.
Yeah, partner. This one's either the best ace in the world, or the worst depending on who's on the other side of the playmat.
In that case, let's go over its card art first.
Absolutely amazing. It could just be my brain's bias, but I absolutely love the digital mechanical design of Firewall Dragon.
Like more than Borreload?
I guess it just depends on my mood.
It's got that Stardust white color scheme, but unlike the 50, this one's got a bunch of dark blue as a secondary color, so you can actually see it against the background.
The shading on the outer edges of this bad boy also helps it stand out, as opposed to Stardust, which basically has shading on its inner parts.
It's a little small, but I gotta put some attention on the tiny amount of yellow they used for the bolts on its joints.
Any opinion on its alt arts, Barry?
Hey, the red one's kind of ugly, and the other one has a weird pose.
But let's move on to its effect.
Oh boy, here we go.
Its first one ain't that bad, since it needs to be co-linked to use its bouncing effect. Something that ain't exactly easily done, since this big gabung is a beefy Link 4, and even then you're probably only going to be clatter-sploding a single card unless your deck's specifically made to Link spam.
Its other effect, though. Yeesh.
Yeah, even as a Firewall enthusiast, I agree this one wasn't really ready to come out of the oven. On one hand, its effect to special summon more cards for free whenever something this card points to hits the grave means that it's one of the best cards in the entire game for generating more material.
But on the other hand,
it is one of the best cards in the entire game for generating more material. This fact that, for whatever reason, Konami, in their infinite wisdom, decided to not give this thing a hard once per turn. I'll never fathom for the rest of my days.
Yeah, instead, I think it's the only Protag ace to ever serve time on the ban list, which is especially bad since Reigns was still airing during the time it got banned. At least they managed to errata it later down the line.
they even changed its generic free summons from hand. Now it only special summons specifically Cybers.
Giggity. Well, I think we can rank this one in either two categories. Either King of Games tier because it was so broken, or dropping it down a peg to tier 1 because it was so broken. But for the sake of this tier list,
And since we already have way too many tier 1s.
I say we put this in King of Games.
After Vrains, it's time for Yuga 7's Road Magician from Yugioh 7's.
すっごく楽しいデュエルだと思わないかい？モンスターを2体リリースしてアドバンス召喚。行く手を阻む壁も山も惑星もロードを切り開いて突き進む。行くぞセブンスロードマジシャン。今優雅くんの墓地にいるモンスターの属性はセブンスロードの効果を発動するにはデッキの一番上のカードを墓地へ送る必要がある。つまり光属性ならいけるってことか。効果発動エレメンタルロード。来た光属性。セブンスロードマジシャンでブルーアイスを攻撃。切り開け簿記のロードセブンスマジック。
Not gonna lie, I've got mixed feelings about this one.
Its effect not good enough for you, bushy boy?
It ain't exactly that, partner. I think its effect requiring a bunch of different attributes in the grave's a neat idea, and the fact that Yuga's deck is designed around being full of different attributes instead of just dark is pretty cool, but as a fan of OG Egyptian spellcasters, this one's a bit too goofy looking for me.
Oh, come on, man. I think his flaming hair's pretty darn cool, and his 7 rings in hand coming out of his belt's a neat touch.
Holy Sevens, Wonder Fusion, I didn't even notice that.
Sorry, Bush, but the way his fire hair's drawn on the card's pretty amazingly stylized, and the background art's one of the best background arts for any ace monster that we've covered today. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of Magicalized Fusion, but way better.
That is an admittingly amazing background art. Guess I'm just getting a bit bothered by his face looking like it just came out of Soul Eater.
I thought you liked Soul Eater.
Hey, I like Fire Force better.
Ah, a fellow man of culture.
What about the Overrush rare art?
It's mid.
But it's mid.
It's mid.
I think we should put this one in tier 1 right ahead of Dark Magician on account of he's not as cool looking as DM, but his effect shaping the entire deck around him, yet still really generically useful, put him just a bitty bit ahead.
All right then, last but not least is Yugioh from Go Rush.
We ranking Transamu Rainac too, or are we just ranking Oblivion?
I refuse to call it by its localized Transam Rainac name.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue the same way.
Well, since we ranked Pale Rider for Zuijou's rival Tierlist, it's only fair that we do the same for Rainac. But unlike the ranking we gave Pale Rider, Yugioh's deck's got a whole bunch more support for the vanilla level 4 than Pale Rider's single fusion that requires very specific materials.
It's got big Chungus support with Transamu Ephirai, a fusion with 7's Road Magician, Void Velga Requiem, and very generically any level 4 Galaxy monster, with probably more on the way.
Yeah, not to mention all the metric ton of normal monster support Yugioh has.
Plus its card art's just absolutely amazing.
That otherworldly Lotus design, plus the pose holding that alien-looking sword in front of an eclipse. Now that's cool.
Not a huge fan of its 3D model in the anime, but my god, and here I thought the background art for 7's Road was amazing. Rainac's is on a whole different level.
It literally looks like a domain expansion.
By the way, Barry, a lot of channels like giving you alternate personalities.
I mean, we're kind of guilty of that too.
I think it's more than just kind of at this point.
Anyways, back to Rainac. You know, I was going to say we put him in Rogue since at the end of the day he's just a vanilla, but I think his card art puts him smack dab into tier 1 right behind Flame Wingman.
Oof. Another one for our already huge tier 1 meta.
Yeah, this thing's looking fatter than a Donnie on a Texas Sunday at Locals in an apron.
Yeah, but I make it look good.
And now on to the real star Galactica Oblivion.
行くぞボルテックスシューター2人レベル4 ATK1400 EX10 ギャラクシー族通常
書いてあること全部言わなくてもいいよ。
うむ
ギャラクシー族見たことない種族だ。
そして魔法カードギャラクティカライズを発動。墓地のギャラクシー族通常モンスター1体を特殊召喚。記憶の船が忘却の空を巡るとき、天に渦巻く星々が胸にその名を呼び覚ます。開いてよギャラクティカ・オブリビオンバトル。ギャラクティカ・オブリビオンでボイドベルグ・レクイエムを攻撃。ゴートゥーゼンオーサム・トゥルー・グンナイト。
Someone put this epic vanilla space dragon straight into King of Games, or so help me.
Hold on there, Berry Boy.
I mean, I like Space Dragons as much as the next guy, but shouldn't we talk about it first?
Fine. I mean, what's not to love? He's got a great design with his silver, blue, and yellow color scheme.
And those blue and purple light wings are pretty cool. And that galaxy in his backplate thingy pulls the whole design together.
And all that normal monster support we brought up with Rainac gets to be applied here too, but around tenfold, since certain cards like Galactic and Zyphos have additional effects if Oblivion's on the field.
His two fusions are nothing to slack off either, with Eternal Galactica Oblivion only requiring any two generic light galaxy monsters plus Oblivion, and Darkness Oblivion only requiring Darkness Dwarf, which has the effect to fuse monsters already baked in.
But it's still just a vanilla monster, though. Shouldn't we put this one in the same tier as Dark Magician?
Normally I'd say yeah, but I'd argue that Yugioh has way more normal monster support than Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Kaiba ever had. And plus, I think we've already got enough tier ones.
Well, it's cheating a bit, but I say we play Oblivion's Dual Links animation.
開いてよギャラクティカ・オブリビオン。目からビーム。
Like I said, someone put this epic space dragon vanilla straight into King of Games.
All my pleasure, Sleepy Joe.
Like, holy crap, guys, that was a long one.
Yeah, something tells me that we might have the teeniest bitty bit of bias towards Protag monsters.
But let us know, dear viewers, if you have any other suggestions on anything else you want us to rank.
But that's enough about that. I say we party at Donnie's house.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Why the Royal Rebels heavy metals? It got to be at my house.
Because you've got the biggest swimming pool.
Even if that is true, I'm going to be too busy running the country.
Well, are Yo too busy for ice cream?
Anyways, like I said, party at my house.
Hooray.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. You can get yourself clean. You can have a good meal. Hey, you can do whatever you feel.